Are you ready to begin teaching your dog to drop whatever it has in its mouth? Then let's get started. Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to Awoken K9 TV, your #1 source for all things dog training. If this is your first time on this channel, my name is Brian with Awoken K9, and on this channel we focus on all things dog training, so if you're new, consider subscribing. So why teach your dog to drop it in the first place? Well, have you ever found yourself in a position where you're just playing with your dog and no matter how hard you try to get your dog to let go of the toy, he just doesn't? You find yourself actually fighting your dog to try to get the toy out his mouth. Or maybe you're out in your home or out somewhere public where your dog gets an object he's not supposed to have in its mouth, and you tried getting your dog to let go of the object, but again, no matter how hard you try, you find yourself fighting your dog to try to get the object that he's not supposed to have out of his mouth. Or maybe you use another piece of food to try to trick your dog or bribe your dog to let go of the object for the food. If you find yourself in this situation, then teaching your dog the drop it command is a must. Before we begin, here's the 2 most common reasons why your dog isn't dropping it. First, you're unknowingly rewarding the behavior we don't want. So you may be asking your dog to drop it, but if your body language and what you're doing with your dog is completely different than what you're asking, then you'll quickly notice that you may have been rewarding the exact behavior we don't want when asking our dogs to drop it. The second reason dogs don't let go of the objects they have in their mouth is because they think that if they let go of the object and give it to us as owners, we're just gonna take it away. More often than not, as dog owners, what do? We confirm our dog's suspicions, and then our dogs, and next time around, whenever we want them to let go of an object, they go, no, because I think that you're going to take it away, and last time I did that, you confirmed my suspicions and you did exactly what I thought you were going to do. Now that you know the 2 most common reasons why your dog isn't dropping it, here's how to begin teaching your dog to effectively drop any object he has in his mouth in 1 simple step. To begin teaching your dog to drop it, we first must understand what is rewarding to your dog. That way, you're not unknowingly rewarding your dog for the exact behavior we don't want. So first things first is, if your dog has an object in its mouth, whether it is a shoe or a tug toy or just an object he is not supposed to have, the last thing you want to do is grab that object and begin pulling on it, because then what you're really doing is playing tug of war with your dog. The fun part of playing tug of war with your dog is when somebody actually tugs back. That is rewarding to your dog. If you're consistently doing that whenever your dog has an object in its mouth, what you have been doing is unknowingly rewarding your dog for the exact behavior you may not want at that moment, especially if all you want your dog to do is let go of that given object. So you may be asking, if I can't grab that toy and try to pull it away out his mouth, how do I teach my dog to drop it? Tugging is rewarding to your dog. What is the opposite of that? Is making the toy completely stationary and boring. The most important part is making sure that you do not move that object or tug on it, because then in your dog's brain, what's gonna happen, he's gonna go, wow, this game is not as fun. Making sure that you completely immobilize that toy so that you take all the fun and gratification out of playing tug with the toy. Here's what you'll need to begin teaching your dog to effectively drop whatever he has in its mouth. To begin, you'll need a good sized tug toy. Something like this works perfect. It's not too long, it's not too big. It's a good size where you're able to hold it still when your dog is biting. That way, again, the most important part is making sure that when we begin teaching your dog to drop it, we do not tug back on the toy, because if we do tug back, that is going to be rewarding for your dog, and then we will just be rewarding the exact behavior we do not want at that given moment. Now that you have an appropriate size tug toy, here's what you want to do. You want to begin playing tug of war with your dog, with the most important part being that you're making a drastic difference when you're actively playing with your dog by making big, wide tugs when you're playing with him, and then making a drastic difference when you want him to drop it. So whenever you want your dog to effectively drop the toy at hand, make sure that you say the word drop and then immediately immobilize the toy, making the toy go completely still. If your dog tries tugging back in an attempt to try to get you to play, make sure that you do not give in. What you're going to do is tuck your elbows in and make sure that you do not move. You're going to completely immobilize the toy. Now, here's the most critical part. There's going to come a moment where your dog lets go of that toy. the moment that your dog lets go of the toy, you're going to reinitiate play and start playing tug of war with your dog again. That is going to be critical, because what we want to begin teaching your dog is that, hey, if you let go of the toy, I'm not just going to take it away and confirm your suspicions. What I'm going to do is allow you to play with the toy again, so that we begin teaching your dog that, hey, if you listen to me and actually let go of what you want, there's a possibility that you actually get what you want anyway. All you have to do is listen to me in the first place. Bring out the tug toy. You have a big tug of war session, making it crystal clear that, hey, I am playing with you. So your arms are being extra wide when you're tugging with him. When you want your dog to completely stop and drop the toy, you say drop and keep the toy completely still. That way your dog learns, one, the game becomes boring, so he's gonna go, this is not as fun when you're playing with me, because whenever you're playing with your dog, he's gonna go, wow, I kind of like when you tug. Whenever you completely immobilize the toy and you're tugging, completely immobilize the toy, make sure that, again, you just tuck those elbows in and don't allow your dog to tug you, because he's going to try, especially if he's gotten away with it in the past. Now, if your dog is a bit obsessed with playing tug of war, make sure that when you completely immobilize the toy, you stay completely still. It may take a couple minutes, it may take 10 minutes, 15 minutes, but you'll notice that after the first time when you completely immobilize the toy, say it takes you 15 minutes, he lets go, you play with him, make a drastic game of playing tug. Next time you immobilize the toy, instead of it being 15 minutes, he's probably gonna let go in 10. And then next time you do the same thing, and then instead of 10 minutes, waiting 10 minutes, it's gonna be 5, and then 2, and then just a couple seconds. But make sure that you allow your dog the opportunity to play again and don't just end the game. Now, here's some fine points. Whenever you do want to end the game, make sure you begin giving your dog a cutoff word that communicates to him, we're completely done with whatever activity we're doing right now. This specific word does not matter, just make sure that you are consistent in the way that you use it. The word I use is usually that's it. Whenever I'm playing with my dog and I'm done with a given activity, I tell my dog that's it, we're done. I slowly pick up the tug toy, put it away, I give my dog a treat, and then I walk off the playground or the field or whatever I'm currently doing at that given moment. That is going to be important so that your dog understands, okay, whenever I hear this word, it means that we're done. Second thing you want to be aware of is making sure that whatever tug toy you're using, it does not have a squeaky sound inside of it. Because then if you immobilize the toy, your dog just has to make the squeaking sound and just reward himself for not even tugging. So make sure that the tug toy that you're using does not have a squeaky component. Now we begin by using your dog's tug toy. From a tug toy, you begin shifting it to other objects, right? Make sure that before you ask your dog to drop a different object that he's never dropped, make sure that your dog is consistent with just letting go this object, right? Just a normal tug toy. From there, you could transfer it towards other things, maybe like a soft little rubbery frisbee where you ask your dog to drop it, and whenever he does, again you initiate play. What you're going to begin doing is transferring it to other objects that your dog enjoys. All of the objects initially are going to be toys. From there, there's gonna come a moment where your dog has something and you ask your dog to drop it. Whenever that moment comes and you ask your dog to drop it and he does, be prepared to effectively reward your dog, whether it is with a piece of food or a short game of tug with a different object. So to recap, first get an appropriate size tug toy for your dog. Nothing too big, nothing too small. 2, make sure you make a drastic difference between when you're actively playing tug of war with your dog and when you want your dog to drop the toy at hand by saying drop it and then completely immobilizing the toy that you have been playing with your dog with. And 3rd, make sure that when your dog finally lets go of the toy, you reinitiate the game to teach your dog, hey, I'm not just going to take the toy away, but actually letting go of the toy and listening to me makes the game start again. Once your dog is consistent with a variety of different toys, you could begin asking your dog to drop it for everyday objects. But always remember, you're starting off with one step and then gradually increasing the variety so that your dog begins to understand that drop it means let go of the object regardless of what it is. Now, if you enjoyed this video, feel free to hit that subscribe button for all things dog training, and be sure to check out our next video which goes over how to effectively teach your dog to play fetch step by step, and I'll see you in our next one.